What is going on, everybody? Welcome in. Thanks for joining us here on Alarm Fantasy Football. I'm Howard Bender. Andrew Cooper's here, but guess what? Oh, baby, we got a full house here. Britt Flinn, Jon Impemba joining us. Welcome to our FFPC, Fantasy Football Players Championship, Playoff Contest Lineup Building Show. That's what we're doing for you here. We've been talking about the FFPC and their playoff contest. It's definitely one of my absolute favorites. And so we're going to build you a lineup that the four of us here have bought and shared, and we're ready to go with all of that. First and foremost, thank you so much for watching us on the Fantasy Alarm YouTube page. Please hit that like and subscribe button. You see how emaciated the four of us are starting to look right now? Look at us. We need to be fed. So likes, subscribes, that's what we're all about. Let's talk to the crew here before we get down to business. And just, let's find out how was everybody's season? Like, we're here at week 18 is past. We're ready to move on to the playoffs here. The fantasy season is over. The four of us are like, or are we? Like, let's talk about it here.
I beat Jon in the championship.
Coop, you go first.
That's it. That's all I have to say. I beat Jon in the championship in a league. That's it. That's all I have to say. So there you go.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Jon, how was your season?
Yeah, that happened. To be fair, that was a league that Coop and I have like almost consistently come in last in for a long time.
Crazy difficult league.
Yeah, really hard friends league. It's a 14-team keeper league. We were late entries into the keeper league as well, so we kind of got bottom of the barrel scraps. I actually had no keepers entering this league, and it took us a couple of years, but we finally met in the playoffs. And I had a decimated team. I had no Amari Cooper. I had no Keenan Allen.
Our keepers were terrible again this year, Jon. Who did you kept? Cam Akers.
I kept Jalen Hurts this year, so
okay.
I was good with that. But I kept him in the second round because you can't keep him again next year. But yeah, the keepers had been pretty bad.
I kept J.K. Dobbins, dude.
Yeah.
We had to scrap.
So you both played for a championship in your home league, and you both have crappy teams.
I did win a championship as well. I made the playoffs in 5 of 10. I made the finals in 3 of those 5. Sadly, I only won 1 championship this year. So, we were
loser.
Yeah. Britt Flinn, how was your year?
It was good. Did very well as far as the underdog picks go. So that was always nice to come in. Best ball, not great. I think I invested a little bit too much in Aaron Rodgers. And when he went down at the very first snap of the very first game, basically, it just tanked my best balls. But as far as season long, I did very well. I came home with 3 championships after making the playoffs in a bunch. Sellers brought home a championship and was in 2 finals out of the handful of leagues that he plays. So overall, it was very successful for the Sellers Flynn household.
Very nice. See, successful season all around here. I've been getting all these messages and emails from FA Nation. I won this in DFS. I won these championships. And it's been absolutely fantastic. I love when people beat me in best balls in like listener leagues and stuff like that, because they tweet it out and like you see my team is like in dead last place. You don't see that I tried out like Daniel Jones and Aaron Rodgers as my starting quarterbacks there, but nevertheless, I love seeing that. Couple of championships my way. The Jam on Fantasy Football League, that's always a big one. Sirius XM's Military Appreciation, a bunch of crap talkers on that one. So. Overall, I mean, listen, I'd say that if we were to sit here and like chalk up our wins versus our losses collectively as a group from, Sam Laporta and Dalton Kincaid to not using Austin Eckler to Cortland Sutton to,
hey, CeeDee Lamb cover of the draft guide.
CeeDee Lamb cover of the draft guide. Jon crushing it with the DFS quarterback situation, investing, putting aside his personal preferences to champion Baker Mayfield.
I
mind
didn't
blow
go through
there.
it, but I think I wrote Baker Mayfield up more than any quarterback in DFS this year.
Right. And you always included a line like, I know he's still Baker Mayfield, but then you begrudgingly promoted him. Dude,
Like
I mean,
Baker
you know what?
Mayfield, Sam Howell every week, 20 fantasy
Right.
points, you know? So.
Yep.
Right. And then Britt, you were like the prop queen this year. I mean, you were absolutely crushing it with the props. So close on that Bills under. I'll just say
I
this.
know.
The mere fact that it gets down to the last play of the last game of the season shows you how great of a bet that was. You were getting plus money on the under. People were roasting you in the comments. People who would probably have taken the over if I had set the line at 12.5 for crying out loud. And I mean, I was like, I was pulling for you so badly on that one there. But I mean, listen, great seasons all around for the Fantasy Alarm crew. Great season for a lot of you out there. We're going to make it even better right now because we're giving away a $35 entry to the FFPC $100,000 contest today here on this show after we build you a lineup. And then on Fridays, Fantasy Fiasco with Andrew Cooper, we're giving away a $200 entry into their $500,000 contest. If you want to try out for and be eligible for either, just go to fantasyalarm.com/FFPC and just sign in. Just register what your Fantasy Alarm email address is. You must be an FA subscriber in order to win. So do yourselves a favor. Go to fantasyalarm.com/FFPC. Get your name into contention for today's giveaway, Friday's giveaway, and let's just all crush it here for the rest of the playoffs. Let's do that. And to start, well, obviously for the FFPC plays, we have multiple articles on the website from Andrew Cooper regarding strategy, matchups to watch, things like that. He's going to be releasing some rankings overall as well. That's coming out a little closer to when you need to set any of that up. So let's get to it, guys. Let's start it off here. A little bit of injury talk that we just have to make sure, who's in, who's out. The injuries that, I mean, I listed a bunch here for all of us to kind of go over. But there are obviously certain injuries that matter more than others. And I kind of highlighted them for us here in red to talk about it. And I would say the top injuries are Jalen Hurts with the finger, Christian McCaffrey with the calf, Raheem Mostert with the knee, A.J. Brown with the knee, Rashee Rice has a hamstring issue as well. And then let's not forget Sammy Laporta with the knee issue. Britt, I'll start with you. Injury that stands out the most, kind of makes you nervous if you wanted to use this person in your FFPC lineup?
Man, it doesn't make me nervous because I'm pretty sure that he's going to be out, but I just want to throw a big middle finger to Dan Campbell completely being so stupid and throwing Laporta out there. Yes, that game was pretty close, but it didn't look like Dallas and the Eagles were both going to lose anyway. Like you said, I think it was yesterday or the day before, there was a 4% chance of them getting that 2 seed. It makes our decision in tight end a lot more difficult. I think that the one that I'm looking at more than that, though, is Raheem Mostert because he's missed back-to-back weeks. And as good as Achane was on that first, quarter and a half of this game, that second half, they did not do anything. And the weather in Kansas City is going to be super, super cold. I was talking with Jon about it before the show. A high of 2 degrees and a low of -8 with snow. This is a running game. If they do not have that running back in Miami, yeah, it's supposed to be 9 degrees here, dude, in Arkansas. Like, it's going to be so bad. So this is just a prime running game situation. If Mostert isn't able to go, I worry about Achane and Wilson being able to move the chains in that kind of conditions.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, the Laporta one, most disappointing for me because this is, a tight end contest. It's tight end premium. And I'm such a big tight end guy. Howard is as well. And the fact that we can't use Laporta, Evan Engram didn't make the playoffs. My plan was to just load up with tight ends. Now it's a little more difficult, right? So I wish they didn't do that, to be honest. And he probably, he was a long shot for coach of the year. This definitely hurts that for him. And to Britt's point with Raheem Mostert, the thing that stinks there is that with this contest, we want as much certainty as possible. So when you have a situation like that, where now I don't want to use Mostert, and I don't want to use Achane, but somebody out there who uses Achane let's say Mostert misses the playoffs, maybe that person now gets a huge advantage and kind of wipes the floor with us. So I really don't like having any sort of uncertainty. So anytime you have these guys like that, especially in the split backfields, it messes things up for us, right? This is one of the more difficult. I've been doing this contest for a while. I've been doing the weekly ones all year long. And this one definitely is one of the tougher ones. Last year felt easy to me compared to this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's the Dolphins. They don't play good on the road as it is, and now they're going in there not at 100% in tough environments and cold conditions. I mean, how long had the narrative been that Miami can't win in games where it's like below 30 degrees, right? That's just been sort of the thing that's carried that team around for years and years here. So that's kind of where I'm at as well. Worried about Mostert. Waddle, even when he gets on the field, finds himself getting hurt again. So for me, I'm out on the Dolphins here.
Man, I'm like super surprised that nobody said McCaffrey. Is nobody low key nervous about McCaffrey with a calf injury? Like, I get it. He's got, he sat out this past week. He's got this whole week with the bye week there as well. But I mean, calf injuries, nobody's a little nervous there. I know that this is a guy who we want to probably lock in as one of our running backs. I mean, it's going to be a chalk play, but nobody's nervous. Nobody's nervous.
I'm so nervous because I've already decided that I'm going to live and die by McCaffrey that I don't even want to talk about it. So let's just move on to the next topic. I don't even want to hear the possibility that McCaffrey isn't the guy because you can only pick one player from each team. That's the thing with this format. So if I pick McCaffrey and this calf issue comes up, not only do I lose a great player, but that means that somebody else out there that picked Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk or George Kittle is getting a huge advantage over me. So I don't even want to talk about it.
No, Christian McCaffrey's good.
Yeah, I'm going off reports that they're not really too concerned about it. He's had the extra time. Now, Shanahan is maybe one of the more notorious coaches of lying to us. So, who really knows what the situation is going to be there? But at least the fact that he's had the time off, he's going to have another week off, another week to, do whatever they got to do to get that leg ready to go. I imagine that they'll be fine. But something certainly to talk about when it comes to lineup building and roster construction, and a point that I have for strategy when it comes to doing so here for this contest.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I've got multiple entries into both the 35 and the 200 personally that I've put in. And yeah, I mean, I'd be a fool not to end up going with Deebo as my San Francisco rep. We'll do that. We'll jump in with all of that here. Big shout out to everybody in the chat. Look at this chat bumping right now. Skinny McKinney, Toronto Dave, Joshua K is in here. Jabri Gordon is in here. Annie Coop in the house, baby.
Dang, what's good?
Angelo, Fatty McFat, Stephen Fagan, Sellers is in here, the better boss. Thank you so much, everybody. First and foremost, we thank you all for being here very much. I hope somebody who's in the chat right now is going to win today's $35 entry giveaway, because that would make my day complete here. So, all right. Well, shout out to you guys in the chat. We'll keep going back and forth here, but listen, we've got a lot of ground to cover here with this lineup build show. So, because there's got to be a lot of discussion here for players. I'll ask you guys this. I'll start with Britt, and then we'll kind of go around the room here. Your initial approach to building your lineup, like if you could give one piece of advice to anybody, like how to build their lineup for the first time playing in this contest, what would it be?
I think that it's base your big players on who has the chance to play the most games. And it sounds kind of basic, but obviously, the 2 1 seeds are on a bye. They can only play 3 games. So it kind of makes me tilt a little bit away from playing like Brock Purdy or Lamar Jackson in those situations. Look at who has that potential, who has the home games, who has the games in the dome. Just look at all of these situations down the road and not just the overall best team. I mean, obviously you want players from the best team, but just throw a few extra sprinkles of details in there.
Yeah. My advice is lean into the format and what the scoring allows you to do. It blows my mind, the people that don't check the rules and they don't know like what's different about this league from other leagues. For instance, I already mentioned it's tight end premium. The team that won the $35 contest last year had 4 tight ends in their lineup. 4. Dalton Schultz was in there. TJ Hawkinson only played 1 game last year, but because he caught 10 passes in that game, that counts as 15 passes for a wide receiver. So he blew anybody out of the water that basically just played 1 game, right? The other thing is that the Super Bowl is worth double. So if you, to Britt's point, maybe you do want to avoid teams if they have the bye week. Like if you don't truly believe in the 49ers, you avoid them. But if you think that team is going to the Super Bowl for sure, then that game's worth double and they make it up that way. So you kind of got to look around the scoring and say, okay, where can I get advantage? The other one that favors, the last one I'll mention that favors the gunslingers here is that turnovers only -1. So Josh Allen 1 year threw a bunch of picks, but who cares? Because he had a bunch of rushing touchdowns where it's 4-point passing, 6-point rushing. So he was the guy. So it's like, you got to look, see what's going on here. That's why for certain positions, I'm leaning into it, leaning away from other things.
Yeah, for me, it's just to be a little contrarian. I mean, everybody's got the same player pool. If you're just going to ride the chalk monster all the way, you're going to find yourself splitting with a lot of people. If you can find yourself being just a little bit different, play a Brandon Cooks over a CeeDee Lamb or something like that, where maybe Cooks is the one that finds the end zone. He ends up ultimately scoring more points. Or as we've mentioned with the Christian McCaffrey, a lot of people, given sort of the running back position here, are going to want to plug CMC into their lineups. You go play a Deebo Samuel or a Brandon Ayuk, and then you're making up your difference there when it comes to sort of that positional there. So you got to be a little bit different in these things we talk about all the time. Think about it as like a mega GPP contest. If you just ride what everybody else is going to be doing, you'll be splitting a lot of money. Put yourself ahead by being a little different here.
Yeah, that's going to be, I agree with you on that one there. The game theory about who to use, who not to use, I think is going to be huge here. I think, a lot of lineups are going to have both CeeDee Lamb and Christian McCaffrey in them. Do you go along with that and then find your other spots to be contrarian, or, do you pivot? Do you go with the Dak Prescott, and do you go with a Deebo Samuel just to make sure that you're not going along with the rest of the pack, or do you feel like you're going to miss out? So we'll kind of cover all of that as we go through here. Now, the rules for the FFPC contest, for everybody knows, you pick 1 player per team, quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, a tight end, 4 flexes, a kicker, and a defense. So you're fading 2 teams in the playoffs here, right? There are 2 teams that you're going to look at. You're going to be like, not taking them at all, not picking any players. Is that, which of the, who's the team that you're looking to fade? There are 2 teams that we're looking to fade, but we'll each give one where we kind of feel like we're locked in the most. We'll start with Coop.
Yeah. So the truth of the matter here is that there's actually, based on my research, 4 teams that you want to fade. And the way you do it is picking 2 of those teams to have your kicker and defense, right? You pick 12 players in this contest, and there are 14 teams. 6 teams are going to lose this week, which means no matter what, you're going to lose 2 of your flex players. If you lose your quarterback, you're toast. You're going to lose 2 of your flex players, and ideally, you're going to lose your kicker and defense teams are going to lose, and then there's going to be 2 teams that you don't pick anybody from. So I basically take the 6 teams I think are going to lose, and I say, okay, who's the best defense? What's the best kicker option? When I go through all that, I look at the Green Bay Packers, who are dogs by more than a touchdown to Britt's Cowboys. I think that team's going to lose, and I'm not really interested in using their kicker or defense, to be honest. So the Packers is a team that I'm considering fading completely here.
Yeah, the Packers have me nervous. I'm not going to lie. They have been pretty hot. I think that it's going to be a little bit closer than I'm comfortable with. So in that case, I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're playing in Buffalo. The point spread started out, I think, around 9. It's gone up since then. They're going to be playing in Buffalo again with very cold weather, winds, snow. And it came out today that they're going to be without TJ Watt, and they're still starting Mason Rudolph. So I don't really want any piece of the Steelers going into this contest.
Yeah, I mean, everything that Britt just said. I'm with you there. I honestly
did you just verbal retweet?
Yeah, verbal retweet. Honestly, I have nothing more to add. I have absolutely nothing more to add. I'm fading the Steelers here. I don't like their kicker in that stadium in Buffalo, the way the wind kind of goes around there. I don't think their defense is going to be up to snuff with TJ Watt not being able to rush the passer. I know Allen obviously is susceptible to turning the football over, but again, I don't think that's going to be a spot to really challenge them now that the pass rush isn't going to be there. You could run the ball in the Steelers defense. James Cook's been really good. And on the other side of that game, I mean, I know the Buffalo's defense hasn't been great, but it's been better, and they're at home. So I'm just not going with Pittsburgh here.
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously between the Steelers and the Packers for me. I mean, it's really that's kind of where we're at, right? The Steelers going up against Buffalo. But I'll tell you what, man, you know, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, if that holds, it's kind of interesting. Like, I mean, I know that I work with a number of Steelers fans, Josh Wagner, Sham Blunt over at Fantasy Alarm. So maybe I'm drinking the dragon Kool-Aid that they are slinging right now. But I'm gonna go here with the Packers, right? And I'm gonna say, yeah. I mean, listen, going up against the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas, they're 8-0 at home, 7-1 against the spread at home. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It does. It's sad because I really love using Jaden Reed for something like this with his multi-touchdown capabilities. But for now, I'm going to say that the Packers. All right, so we've got Packers and Steelers here that we basically just said that we're going to fade. So I think what we can do is we can start building our lineup right now, knowing we ain't going for the Packers and we ain't going for the Steelers. So here we go. FA Squad Playoff Challenge roster in the house. Well, let's start with the quarterback position, and I don't think there's anybody who should be starting this conversation off other than our QB whisperer himself, John.
Yeah, so for me here, I've been toying with a couple of lineup builds, but I keep finding myself going to two different players here. That is Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. Going both sides in the AFC here. I think one of those two teams are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl this year. So getting that quarterback play as your Super Bowl quarterback, I think is certainly a way to go. I like that both quarterbacks have the rushing upside to their advantage here. I do think Josh Allen is probably my initial lean over Lamar Jackson, but I feel like if you're looking at the Ravens side and you have to pick somebody in that offense, there's really only a couple of players that I kind of would gravitate towards. So Allen's been my initial plug here, gets the extra game played. And also I think it's just going to be the better overall matchup. Can throw the football, can put up big yards there, but also can get the rushing touchdown. So for me, Allen's my number one, Lamar's my number two.
Yeah, I looked at it historically, and we really want to lean into mobile QBs if possible, because last year it was Jalen Hurts obviously went to the Super Bowl, had a bunch of rushing touchdowns, even though he had the bye week, so he missed a game, right? The year before that, Josh Allen, with his mobility and throwing a few touchdown passes, he's capable of blow up games. He actually was the top quarterback for the top 50 teams, and he only played 2 games. That's how much of an advantage you get with these mobile quarterbacks, especially with the no penalties for turnovers. If you go back through, there was a time where Tom Brady was the guy, but he went to played 4 straight games, throwing multiple touchdowns in each game, and he had a rushing touchdown. So if you're going to take a quarterback that isn't a true mobile quarterback that can get those rushing touchdowns, you have to essentially predict that team to run the table and make the Super Bowl and get those double points in the Super Bowl. I'm with John that I think it's got to be either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. And personally, this format is custom built for Josh Allen. I mean, the turnovers don't matter, and the rushing touchdowns are everything. That's like Josh Allen season, is it not? And he was the number 1 quarterback in all of fantasy this year. So I lean on Allen. Again, I like Allen, but if you guys want to go Lamar, we can do that. And to be honest, we can always like retroactively pivot a little bit. If we're going through the running backs and the wide receivers and we say, hey, you know what? We're not going to use a running back wide receiver from the Bills, let's just swap the quarterback. So we don't have to set it in stone now, but those are the guys I'm leaning on.
Yeah, I'm taking John's advice and going a little contrarian here, because I do feel like everybody's going to have CeeDee Lamb. And so to differentiate my lineup, I'm going to lean with Dak Prescott. He's got those 2 games at home. We've seen how great he's been at home all season long. I'm going to harp on it again and again, but playing in a dome at home for probably 2 games is just invaluable when you've got people playing in cold, snow, all these other conditions. Dak has also been the best quarterback, second in points per game, only to Josh Allen since their week 7 bye. I think that combination of differentiating yourself and the upside that he provides really gives you a shot at putting in a different and really good lineup.
Yeah, both sides of it here. I mean, if we're not going to use CeeDee Lamb in this lineup, then Dak Prescott is the Dallas Cowboy I want to use, right? You also have to remember that your players get double points for being in the Super Bowl. So the question is do you want to try, do you try to get your quarterback to the Super Bowl because of, the double points and the capabilities over there? I was looking at it and I was like, I'm down to Lamar and I'm down to Dak Prescott. I'm down to both of those guys. And the reason that I'm leaning Lamar is because I feel like the group here is going to be like, we got to get CeeDee Lamb in there. Like who are you going to use off of the Ravens? It's either going to be Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers. Maybe you lean into Isaiah Likely as a tight end because it is tight end premium scoring. But I feel like Lamar has the path to the Super Bowl for him. If the Dolphins upset the Chiefs, then he plays the Dolphins. If not, then it's probably going to be the Browns. It's the Browns or the Texans. Now, the Browns are a tough matchup. There's no doubt about it. But, it's Lamar. For me, it's going to be Lamar because I feel like we're going to put CeeDee Lamb. If you guys say no to CeeDee Lamb right now, then I'm Team Dak.
I think we can go with Lamb. I'm fine with Lamar.
Yeah, let's put Lamar in there for now, and then we'll see how it goes. Right? We got other positions. We'll feel it out.
All right.
Thank you, Burns.
Thank you, Brian Burns.
Burns wants Lamb in there.
That was scary and yet slightly disgusting in the same breath. All right off the bat there. John, I think you can put CeeDee Lamb in as one of our wide receivers just for the time being right now. We'll just put it as a placeholder for the moment here as we kind of move this along. Remember, we're giving away a $35 entry into their 100K contest at the FFPC. Go to FantasyAlarm.com/FFPC. Look at that. There's a QR code right there. Zap that. Register your email. You must be a Fantasy Alarm subscriber to win. So again, hit it up over there. All right. So we've got Lamar Jackson there. Let's talk running backs. All right. Favorite running back. All right. For me, I love CMC. Obviously, there's the calf injury that does make me a little nervous, but I think we all are pretty much in agreement that CMC is the guy, and he's probably going to be in a billion lineups. And, it's a matter of, do you keep pace with the field or do you try to challenge them? My two favorite running backs here to use are actually CMC and Kyren Williams. Right? I love Kyren Williams against the Lions. I actually think the Rams upset the Detroit Lions in this first round. I've built my bracket and I've got it like that. And just with the way that they've constantly used Kyren Williams, no matter how successful Cooper Kupp or Puka Nacua have been, Kyren Williams has been just a madcap baller. I absolutely love him. So CMC and Kyren for me.
Yeah.
John?
Yeah, sorry. I have no problem going the Kyren Williams route. I guess my initial thought here on the matchup is that if Detroit is to win this game, they do have a good run defense, right? And Kyren Williams obviously has the pass game upside here as well, but attacking Detroit through the air has always been the way to go this year for them. So, for that reason, I didn't have Kyren in my builds. I do have CMC, but the one guy I was plugging in here because, if I wasn't going Josh Allen at quarterback, it's because I was going James Cook at running back. I think that was the other one that I wanted to tempt here. You can run the ball again on Pittsburgh. You've seen Cook really take on a larger role in the second half of the season once they made that change at offensive coordinator. So for me, Cooks was my other running back to pair up with Christian McCaffrey if we were going to go the CMC route here as the RB1.
Yeah, so I've been going through, again, historically, and a lot of these teams are loaded up with chalk. I mean, the team that won last year, it's all the guys you would expect. They just had a slightly different order than everybody else. Jalen Hurts, Austin Eckler, CMC, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Travis Kelce, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, Christian Kirk, Stephon Diggs, Justin Tucker, Miami defense. Like that was the team that won, and they literally just picked the best players on each team. What you want is you want either superstars or you want somebody who is capable of one monster game performance in a loss. Because again, 2 of our guys are going to get eliminated. So to Howard's point, it actually doesn't matter if Kyren Williams wins or loses. All that matters is that he has a great game, right? Like TJ Hawkinson last year, one and done game, put up 28 points in this format. Good. See you later. 2 of our guys are going to get eliminated. So I have no problem with Kyren Williams, but I love John's pick of James Cook. If we're not going to use Josh Allen, I really don't like what we've seen from Stephon Diggs as of late. His usage has changed since the coordinator has changed. I would go with James Cook there, unless we want to use Dalton Kincaid, on which I can absolutely be sold with as easily I can be sold. If one of you guys says let's use Kincaid, I will immediately say put Kincaid in there. So with James Cook, it is what it is. But you know what? I'm with you on Kyren Williams. And again, I'm still vouching for CMC, but again, we can use Debo if you want. But I think we should get Kyren in there. I like that one.
Spoiler, I may have Kincaid somewhere in my build here. Spoiler alert there. Britt, running backs for you?
Yeah, CMC is he has to be in there for me.
Just put him in, John. Just put him in. We're all saying
CMC. Christian Britt, what'd you say earlier? Christian McCaff's good.
Yeah.
Is Christian McCaff's
my calf's good.
Christian McCaff's good. Get him in there. My calf's fine.
Yeah, I'm here all night. So I do like the Kyren Williams pick, but the reason that I'm steering away from him here is that I really want a piece of that Rams passing attack, especially against the Lions defense that has allowed 350 passing yards over the past 3 weeks. I feel like that's where you attack them, is through the air and not necessarily on the ground. So in that case, I'm going to roll with Isaiah Pacheco. We haven't really seen Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce or any of the pass catchers do anything. Rashee Rice is also dealing with that hamstring injury. Then we're thinking about this cold weather, and it's going to always come back to the weather, but it's going to be freezing. It's setting up for a very big run-heavy scheme. Depending on who wins in that Buffalo game, they're probably going to have to go to Buffalo, and it's going to be cold and snowy there. So I think that Pacheco has more longevity and just as much upside as Kyren Williams, especially when you factor in that wide receiving ability of Puka or Cooper Kupp. So I'm leaning Pacheco, but I could be sold on James Cook as well.
Okay, so all of you have said no to Kyren Williams. Okay, fine.
I said Kyren. I said I like Kyren. Let's let the record show.
Oh, did you? All right, so 2 votes for Kyren Williams here. All right, fantasy points per game allowed to the running back position. You can get all of this over at FantasyAlarm.com. Pittsburgh gives up the most. That's a plus for James Cook here in this matchup, obviously with the weather there as well. Packers, Tony Pollard, no thank you. We're going with CeeDee Lamb, we already know. The Bills, we already said that we're fading Steelers here, so we're not going with those guys. You guys don't want to use Devin Achane or Raheem Mostert. Mostert's got the knee. Achane splitting. Is that the concern?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're kind of sitting here. It's either going to be James. I really like the Isaiah Pacheco call. I got to be honest with you here. I think that, Miami, they're good against the run, not great against the run. I like the way Andy Reid utilizes running backs, and you've seen how he favors Isaiah Pacheco in both the passing game and the running game. So I really like that. I'm saying Pacheco. I'm going to side with Britt on this one here, CMC and Pacheco, because I want to use Dalton Kincaid. Coop, John, you want to fight for Cook?
I mean, the thing is, I personally think that given the format, if we want to use Kincaid, we can use him, but I want to use Travis Kelce. I think we should use multiple times.
Yeah, we have multiple flexes for me. So I was always playing Travis Kelce because of the formatting.
Mm-hmm. We can put Kincaid in the tight end chair and Kelce in the flex.
Yeah, it's a way to be contrarian, though, the way we talked. So
yeah. And what about the fact that Kincaid has sucked? Not Kincaid. Kelce's been terrible for the last several weeks.
He's going to be fine.
It's Travis Kelce, though.
That's what we've been saying all year.
That's exactly what we've been saying all year.
He was, but within the calendar month, he had back-to-back games of 80+ yards. I mean, he's had a couple down games, but I mean, a lot of people do. Unless we truly think that on January 7th he was good, but on December 7th he was good, but on January 9th, and now he is just he's injured or he's just not that good anymore? Is that?
I think it more comes down to the fact of the weather and the game script and what's actually going to happen and how much passing is going to happen in these games. I really don't trust Kelsey at all.
Look at Darren Armani in the chat. Fantasy Mojo himself saying Kelsey is toast. Pacheco is a good pivot versus the field.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a good contrarian play. I think it's funny we're talking about a guy that, almost had 100 catches and 1,000 yards as toast, but
the most fantasy points per game of any tight end.
But
think about this though. If we're going McCaffrey and we're going CeeDee Lamb, two of the chalkiest of chalk picks, we've got to go contrarian somewhere else. I mean, we've got Lamar Jackson penciled in there. So
the contrarian play last year for the team that won was the two plays that he had that were different than most people were. He had Christian Kirk, although Christian Kirk was one of the best Jaguars, and he had Miami defense. Every other player he had was the chalk down the stride.
Okay.
I think what's going to be interesting as a separator, in my opinion, here is going to be the Cooper Kupp Puka Nacua decision that someone's going to be making.
Well, if we have Kyren Williams in there, then it's not a decision that's been made.
I guess we're not using Kyren Williams. I guess so. It comes down. Britt and I are voting Pacheco. You guys obviously want James Cook in there. Did neither of you want to use Dalton Kincaid in this format? I think that's going to be a very important factor.
I'm voting for him for the flex. I mean, I would. We can go with. Well, I would rather go with Kyren Williams and then use Kincaid and Kelsey. That's what I would do. But again, I have a bunch of my own lineups to make, so I'm down with whatever you guys want.
Do we have other running backs that we want to throw out there? Do we want to try Rachaad White from the Bucks? Do we want to try? I mean, I don't know. We're fading Steelers and we're fading Packers.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: the guy that won by virtue of having four tight ends in his lineup, the guy that won the $35 challenge last year only had two running backs in his lineup, and he also only had the guy that came in second only had two wide receivers. So you can do it however you want.
I get it. I'm thinking ahead. We can leave this second running back spot blank for the time being right now. Right. We'll do that and we'll talk wide receivers. But I will say that if we are going to lean into the format and lean into the scoring, I mean, I got to tell you, man, David Njoku as the tight end. I mean, how many targets has that dude seen, over time? That
would be three tight ends, meaning we only need one more.
No, I'm just saying that maybe we don't even use Travis Kelce. That's kind of where I'm at, because there are other tight ends who we can take a look at. But we'll pause on this running back spot. Let's move ahead. Let's talk about some wide receivers here. Who we like. Now, teams that give up the most fantasy points per game to the wide receivers throughout this season. It's been, and this is the order of only playoff teams here. From the most points allowed, the Eagles, then the Lions, then the Rams, Bucks, Dolphins, Steelers. So, obviously if we're looking at the Eagles, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin in play here. If you're looking at, going up against the Lions, that's the Puka Nacua Cooper Kupp debate. We'll start with Britt. Who do you want?
Yeah, I'm taking Puka Nacua here for just all the reasons. He's been so good. He, broke the rookie receiving record. Cooper Kupp is good, but he's kind of, fallen off a little bit. I would rather have Puka out of that. And the way that Detroit's secondary has kind of crumbled, they've given up a ton of yardage to the wide receivers, a ton of points. They lost some more of their cornerbacks and safeties this week because Dan Campbell is dumb and puts the starters out on the field. Just throw that out there. So I really like Puka here. For my second one, I'm actually going to go with Nico Collins because he has been so good against man coverage. I know that the Browns defense is very, very good, but against man coverage, Nico Collins is producing the 5th most fantasy points per target when faced with man. And the Browns play man at the top rate in the league. What we've seen from Nico Collins out of CJ Stroud, I really think that at home, Nico's going to have a great game and that they're going to win here and continue to put up big points and just make a miracle run. Colby, I saw you in the chat earlier. This one's for you.
Yeah, for me, we obviously plugged in CeeDee Lamb already. I went Cooper Kupp in my lineups because I think a lot of people are going to go with Puka Nacua in their lineups here because either the recency bias of his, big season that he had, or they think maybe that's going to be the contrarian way to go, and people more likely to take, because he's Cooper Kupp. Like, how do you not take Cooper Kupp? So I actually think that taking Kupp might actually be a bit more contrarian in that sense. I still think he's obviously an elite wide receiver. We've had him come through with some big games. I like this spot for Stafford to throw the ball a ton here in this one. I think both wide receivers, honestly, are going to come through with big games here. So I think Cooper Kupp is the way to go as for me when I'm building out some lineups. But I also like Mike Evans if I'm throwing out another wide receiver there that isn't CeeDee Lamb. Coop and I talked about this when Philly and Tampa Bay played back earlier this season. He's just bigger than everybody that they have in that secondary, right? So if they're going to honestly put Slay or somebody on him there, he just has so much size. It doesn't really matter where the ball is going. He's coming down with it. He had 10 targets in that game. He had 6 catches and a touchdown in that matchup against Philadelphia. 5 catches, rather, and a touchdown in the matchup against Philadelphia. So I like Mike Evans a lot here in this matchup against the Eagles. So that would be my other throw-out call there if it's not CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, personally, I before I give mine, I don't really want to use Nacua or Kupp because I'm really into Kyron Williams. I mean, in most weeks he outscores those guys. He's at 100 yards from scrimmage like in 7 straight games. So that's a guy I would use from the Rams. But if we want to use one of those wide receivers, I'm in on doing a debate on that. Guys I want in there are CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, who is both capable of spike weeks and he is consistent, so he can put in multiple games in a row. And then also Mike Evans. Those are the 3 guys that I feel they're right now the best players and options on their team, right? Because we're not going to go with Tony Pollard. We're not going to use Sam Laporta with the knee. So like those 3 guys, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Evans, those are the ones I'd want to see in there.
Are we doing a disservice to Tyreek Hill by nobody mentioning Tyreek Hill revenge game narrative against Kansas City in Kansas City? We know he gets leaned on. It's better if Jalen Waddle is on the field, but I know he's banged up and everything. But like, why no Tyreek from anybody?
I just assumed we were putting him in there. I already penciled him in mentally.
Because I think it's going to be like 20 pass attempts from each team, and the ball's going to be like a rock. And I still think that the Dolphins lose.
Oh,
so you're thinking maybe
I'm
Dolphins
just baiting him.
You're thinking you would maybe use like Jason Sanders or something there?
Yeah, exactly.
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously have him in lineups because he is Tyreek Hill, but I don't think we're going to get the pop game if the weather's going to be the way it is. I don't know how healthy that ankle is. He's still kind of walking around in a boot. We know Tua numbers this year on the road are drastically lower than they are when at home. Just the whole environment here. Sure, like the Tyreek Hill narrative is great, but I don't necessarily think it's going to come through. We'll see. McDaniel's a really good coach. Maybe he comes up with a good game plan. But I'm not saying I'm fading Tyreek Hill, but he's not my number 1 wide receiver.
Why would we pivot? Why would we pivot to Jason Sanders? Like the kicking game is going to be as gross, if not worse, than the passing game is. And Tyreek Hill's played in this weather before. Like we've seen him all bundled up. And the
quarterback, it's not really Tyreek Hill for me.
Tyreek Hill though is the exact kind of guy that like. Tyreek Hill going out and having 10 catches for 100 yards and then his team getting eliminated is exactly what you want from your 1 week guy, because again, 2 of our flexes are going to get eliminated. So that's why I have no problem with Tyreek Hill. You just want the most explosive playmakers on every team. And you just hope that your quarterback makes it a long way and everybody has good games for as many games as they play. 1 good game from Tyreek Hill is all you might need.
All right. Well, then let's figure it out here then, because we can put somebody in. You guys said Mike Evans. I do like Mike Evans. We're gonna need a Bucs representative because we're not fading them. You said Amon-Ra St. Brown. With no Sam Laporta around, I'm actually in favor of Amon-Ra St. Brown being my rep from the Lions because I don't want to have to deal with the decision between Montgomery and Gibbs, and he is that guy that guy there. So. I'll fight for Tyreek in the flex spot here, but for this wide receiver spot, should we just go with Amon? John already put in Mike Evans.
Good. I put Mike Evans in Amon-Ra. I think
I'm great with that.
Put Amon-Ra in as our flex. We're good. We've got both of those guys in there. We're rock solid. So now I guess we just got to fight it out for our flex spots here. Do we want to fight it out for our flex spots first, or do we want to give our kicker and our defense?
Well, we have to do tight end.
Yeah, let's do kicker and defense at the end, because I've been doing FFPC lineups every single week all year, and a lot of times you get to kicker and defense, and you'll say, "Wait a second, we didn't put an eagle in here. We got to go back and fix it." So I think doing tight end and defense, kicker and defense at the end is the way to do it from the leftovers.
All right.
Yeah.
Tight ends. I mean, let's talk about it. Teams that give up the most fantasy points per game to the tight end position: the Bucks, the Rams, the Texans, the Dolphins, the Steelers, and the Lions. So that favors Dallas Goedert. It favors Brock Wright. Don't even say it, Coop. Son of a, you just shut your mouth.
We're not doing
shut your mouth. Just shut up. Because then, Durham Smythe. No, you shut up again. I don't want to hear it. Travis Kelce going up against Miami. That seems to be everybody's play. For me, I'll lead it off right now. It's Kincaid as my Buffalo representative. We're not going to go James Cook at running back, which I'm fine not going with James Cook at running back. The Buffalo rep, I want to use Kincaid. I don't want to use Diggs. I don't want to, and we've got Lamar in there already. So that's my vote there. Coop, tight end whisperer.
So the viable tight ends I have, it's honestly not as many. There's only 3 that I want to use, and I would like to use all 3. But it's up to you guys. I want Travis Kelce in there, and I like Dalton Kincaid or James Cook, right? So if we're not using James Cook, Dalton Kincaid and Travis Kelce, I'm also down with using David Njoku, because we've seen it. He's capable of having a monster week. Last year in week 1, Deebo Samuel had 6 catches for 133 yards and a touchdown, and he also had 3 carries for 32 yards, right? TJ Hawkinson went out and had 10 catches for 126, and that was less than a point less than what Deebo did.
You don't have to sell. Coop, you don't have to sell Njoku to us. I think if we're looking for a Cleveland rep, I think we can put in Njoku, right? I mean, or the Cleveland defense. I think it comes down to one or the two. So
for me, I personally, and again, I'm going to have my own lineups. Like I'm doing a bunch of them, and Travis Kelce.
Well, we're talking about this one here, Coop.
I'm saying Travis Kelce is going to be in every single one of mine.
Okay, so I put Kelce in as the flex. Let's pop it in there. And yeah, I mean, I guess we can. I want Dalton Kincaid as a flex play as well. I mean,
let's do it. The guy that won last year had 4.
We know.
One of them was Dalton Schultz.
I have a question. How many tight ends did that guy use in that lineup?
4, John.
Okay, got it. Wasn't sure. 4. What was TJ Hawkins in stats?
$100,000,
right?
John. Dalton Kincaid had 2 touchdowns.
I mean,
Dalton Schultz had 2 touchdowns.
Got it. All right. Where are we?
So let's talk about it then. So then we've got reps from, I guess, where every team now except for where are we looking? We don't have
Eagles, Texans, Steelers, Rams.
Eagles, Texans, Steelers. Well, no, we're not. We're fading the Steelers.
Yeah. I'm just listing off teams we haven't used.
All right. So Eagles, Texans, Rams. We haven't used yet. And then
am I crazy for liking Houston's defense in this one?
I don't think you're crazy at all.
Flacco's been turning the ball over a lot. They throw a lot. The Texans defense has actually been putting up numbers the last 5 or 6 weeks. They're home, right?
I was going to say, because we were stuck on that Kieran Williams, why don't we just go ahead and put Kieran Williams in for the running back?
Yeah, it's fine.
And that'll eliminate our choices a little bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do want to mention one caveat here that I know we have Njoku in there, so it saves us from that. You don't want to have your kicker going against your defense, because that means one of them is going to advance. And in most cases, teams that have a kicker or defense make it to the next level, which means 3 of their flexes get eliminated, is not a good way to go. So we want to make sure.
I'm fine using the Houston defense and not using Dustin Hopkins.
Bingo.
Yeah.
We're already using Njoku.
So I think if we were going to go in a direction, I've had Elliott as my kicker here because I don't really know what to do with the Eagles offense and the way they're going. And I'm not using Jalen Hurts. And I think the rest of their skill position players are hit or miss. They're all kind of banged up a little bit, but Elliott can kick from 60. And, that offense might find themselves here in Tampa Bay. Maybe they stall out a little bit. I know they go for it a lot in short yardage, which we kind of hate with kickers, but I kind of liked Elliott in this spot because I don't even know what Philly wins this game. So
Right. That would give us a big advantage.
Do we not want to throw Goddard in there though, with AJ Brown and Devonta Smith banged up, with as many fantasy points that the Bucs are allowing to tight ends? Do we want to use a skill position player rather than just a kicker?
Yeah, what I worry about Goddard is that it's not at his floor. The floor for him is good, but his upside is fairly low because he rarely ever gets end zone targets. Has 10 over the last 4 years combined, which, like, just this year, Dalton Schultz had 10 end zone targets. I mean, Donald Parham had 7. So it's because of the tush push, right? They don't throw it to him. So I just worry he doesn't have the upside we need from a team that might only play 1 or 2 games.
Let me throw this out there? I know that we talk Houston Texans defense. What about using the Dolphins defense? If this game's going to be cold and we're expecting the scoring to be down, then if they get past the Chiefs, then they take on the Ravens. And we've seen Lamar turn the ball over. I know that Vic Fangio's, defense hasn't been killer here, but that also possibly opens up Kaimi Fairbairn as the kicker that we can use. He's definitely reliable, and we know they move the ball.
Yeah, Fairbairn's been crushing lately.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that at all. I know that the Dolphins lost a bunch of their linebackers and defensive pieces, but they still forced so many turnovers last week.
Just a reminder, if we pick the Dolphins defense, we are rooting for the Dolphins to lose.
Yeah,
we do not want our defense to play 2 games.
Kelsey.
Right. Well, no, just in general, we don't. That's why I have no problem with it, because you don't want your defense to advance.
I don't necessarily know if you don't want your defense to advance. It's not your preferred kind of a thing. So I guess it kind of, or Fairbairn, or do we go to Nico Collins because we've got that other flex play open there? We could go to Collins, right? In that sense there, use the Dolphins defense, and then Jake Elliott is our kicker.
Yeah.
I'm down. Yeah, because we're going to lose this weekend. We're going to lose 4 of these players. And honestly, if it's not the QB, it doesn't matter as much. But
we're going to lose you in about 2 seconds.
I'm telling you, dog. I've done all the research on this. All right, so that's it right there. Then looks beautiful.
Is that it?
Looks like
is that our team?
Looks like $500,000 to me.
Does that look like $500,000 to you guys? Oh, I got a cheers from Britt, a cash register there. John, what's your level of confidence here?
Yeah, looks good.
Oh, all right. I'll tell you what. Let's go around here. We got about 8 minutes left in this show. We're gonna do our giveaway, and come up with the winner of that. But if you could change one thing in this lineup here right now, I'll go Jon, Britt, Coop, just right down the side there. John, if there was one thing that you could change about this lineup, what would it be?
I would flip Nico and the Dolphins defense for Houston and Tyreek Hill.
That's fair.
I do not hate that one bit.
I say we do that right now.
Britt?
I mean, that's fine. Whatever you guys want to do.
Tyreek Hill. Once you said Tyreek Hill, I was like, yeah, we got it.
I don't feel good about Tyreek Hill, and that's my hill that I'm going to stand on and die on.
He's just such a little maniac, Britt. He really is.
Dude. The snowdrifts are going to be taller than him.
I think he might be. That guy he's built different, man.
You ever see those videos of like dogs running in like 5 feet of snow, and you just see the mountain go like that? That's Tyreek.
That's Tyreek Hill,
the
dude.
Snowdrifts in Kansas City.
Just saying.
All right, so that was boom. That just happened. Did that just happen? I don't know, man.
Happened.
I mean, I like getting Tyreek in there. I definitely do.
I'm making 1,000 teams.
Britt, maybe you come and you and I build a separate lineup here.
Yeah,
Britt and I are in
John, we'll build our own. Me and John are going to do our own. Then we'll have a little contest. Whose lineup is better? Me and John versus you and Britt.
We're splitting. I would take out Hill and put in Pacheco. Not Hill. Sorry, Kelsey. I've the cold medicines in my head. I would take out Kelsey and put in Pacheco. And then substitute Kieran Williams for Puka. But other than, I'm fine with either one.
I mean, listen, I'm fine with this lineup 100%. I mean, listen, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to win it. And I like, I think
I think we'll be different with Kyron, honestly. I think more people are going to look at this matchup against Detroit knowing you attack them through the air.
Puka
and Kyron's just not going to get the usage. But you have to hope that the Rams win this game because I don't think Kyron's going to have a good game in this one, personally. But next week, maybe he'll have the bigger performance.
7 straight games, 100 yards from scrimmage.
He'd be going up against San Francisco. So he's got 2 tough matchups. So I think it's a definite contrarian move.
Yeah.
I definitely think so. And if the Rams lose, then guess what? Everybody who went Puka or Cup, they lose them too.
He played San Francisco on September 17th, had 100 yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns.
I love that.
Well, we've talked about that all year. San Francisco defense honestly hasn't been that great this year. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. There's our lineup. Very excited about that. Thank you all. I love the chat here. Mile High Luke, Britt, I'm with you. I'm with them too. Steelers defense and root for Josh Allen turnovers from Jared Moore.
I mean, no one's going to play Steelers defense, that's for sure. So.
Nobody's playing the Steelers defense. Nobody is. I love this. I love the comments and through and everything here. I think Anthony actually asked the format. Anthony, you can only use 1 player per team. Yeah. You can't. There's no stacking allowed in this contest.
Anthony's been hanging with us all year for the FFPC. It's the same format as the weekly one we've been doing, my dude, on Coop's Fiasco. Except you, instead of just a 1 week, you have them for the entire year here. And anybody else out here watching this that says, hey, you know what, this is pretty cool, I want to get in and do this, go to myffpc.com, use promo code COOP right now. They'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more when you use promo code COOP. And we're going to give away an entry right now.
We are going to give away an entry right now. Who wants to give away? Well, Coop, you get to give away the $200 one. So you're out of contention for announcing this. John, Britt, one of you two gets to do it. I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 100. Closest to that number without going over wins.
Type it in the private chat so we know you're not.
Yes,
you're
type what, me?
Yeah, you.
Well, no, because then
we'll see it.
Then they'll see it.
No,
I got my number in my head here.
Yeah,
John,
we're in the private chat. We're in the group.
Yeah, they're in the
What private chat are you in, Coop? Is the winner put somewhere better? Because
I've got the winner's name here. I'm going to put it into our group chat as soon as you and Britt guess a number. Closest who gets it without going over wins. 1 to 100. Who wants 25. To guess?
1.
You coward.
Britt?
25.
The answer was 69. I don't know why neither one of you came up with 69, but Britt gets the win here. John with his Price is Right bit of trying to get Britt to go over. Britt, the name is in the chat right now for our $35 FFPC entry giveaway. It goes to...
Do we have a drum roll? Yeah. There we go. And the winner to the $35 FFPC tournament is Stephen Fagan. Congratulations.
I did see Stephen in the chat earlier today, so hopefully he's stuck with us here the entire time. Yeah, congratulations, Stephen Fagan. We will, yeah, exactly. Obvious. See, I don't know why nobody went for the obvious there. Occam's razor. Sometimes the easiest, the right solution is the easiest. So, yeah, Stephen Fagan wins. I guess we'll be in touch with Stephen Fagan, or at least I'll be in touch with Stephen Fagan because I've got the entry and I'm ready to hand it over to one of you. All right. So huge thank you, everybody, for Britt Flinn, for Jon Impemba, for Andrew Cooper. I'm Howard Bender. This has been Alarm Fantasy Football. Shout out to our producer, Brian Burns, for always bringing the heat. Best of luck to you. Again, we're giving away a $200 entry to their $500,000 contest on Coop's Fantasy Fiasco this Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it over there. If you want to sign up, there it is. To be entered into your chance to win, go to fantasyalarm.com/FFPC or use this QR code that's on the screen right now. We thank everybody for being here, liking, subscribing. Do not use our lineup in the FFPC contest because we don't need 100 people splitting the winnings, right? So come on now. Be contrarian. Be your own person. We love you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.
Fantasy season going through the playoffs. The FFPC has 2 playoff challenges with either a $100,000 or a massive $500,000 grand prize. All you need to do is pick 12 players at myffpc.com.
Adios, turd nuggets.